Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a specialized AI system is processing billions of sonar data points from decades of ocean floor mapping. It's searching for patterns that human eyes have missed for generations. Suddenly, the algorithm stops. It catches something. The AI has identified a massive geometric anomaly buried under 2 miles of sediment and water. This isn't a natural formation. It's a structure. And it's forcing archaeologists to ask a question they never thought they'd ask. What if Atlantis was real, but we've been searching in completely the wrong place for over 2,000 years? It wasn't a myth. It was a map. For centuries, the story was simple. Atlantis was a legend, a philosophical fable created by Plato to teach a moral lesson about hubris and divine punishment. A fictional utopia that sank beneath the waves in a single day and night of catastrophic destruction. But here's the catch. When the AI analyzed decades of satellite data, underwater topography, and ancient geological records, it didn't find a fairy tale. It found coordinates. Beneath the noise of ocean currents and shifting tectonic plates, the computer identified a repeating architectural pattern. This is a geometric precision that no natural geological process can explain. Basically, the AI found a city-sized blueprint locked in the Earth's crust. To understand why this is such a game-changer, you have to look at the details. Plato described Atlantis with surgical precision. He gave us measurements. He described concentric rings of land and water. He mentioned a central island exactly 127 stadia in diameter, surrounded by alternating rings of water and earth. We're talking about a city that was approximately 15 miles across. To put that in perspective, that's larger than modern-day Manhattan. Plato wasn't vague. He provided architectural blueprints, population estimates, military strength, and even the types of metals they mined. For a made-up story, it's suspiciously detailed. When the AI looked at this description, it didn't see mythology. It saw a data set. Neural networks performed something called pattern recognition analysis across every major body of water on Earth. This is a fancy way of searching for geometric anomalies that match Plato's dimensions. What emerged was shocking. The AI identified not one but 7 locations worldwide that contain circular structures matching Atlantis's description. But one location stands out with a probability score of 94.7%. It's not in the Atlantic Ocean. It's not near Greece. The AI pointed to a place that ancient texts have been hinting at for thousands of years, but modern archaeology dismissed as impossible. The Rishat structure in Mauritania, Africa, also known as the Eye of the Sahara. Imagine a massive bullseye in the middle of the Sahara Desert. From space, it looks like God took a compass and carved perfect circles into the earth. It's approximately 25 miles in diameter, consisting of multiple concentric rings that match Plato's description with terrifying accuracy. For decades, geologists called it a natural formation, a volcanic dome that eroded over millions of years. But the AI called their bluff. The machine detected something geologists missed. The rings aren't random. They follow a mathematical ratio. The spacing between each ring corresponds to the Fibonacci sequence, a pattern found throughout nature and ancient architecture. This isn't erosion. This is intelligent design. But wait, you're thinking. Plato said Atlantis sank beneath the ocean. The Rishat structure is in the middle of a desert. Here's where it gets crazy. The AI cross-referenced geological data with climate records from 12,000 years ago. During the Younger Dryas period, a catastrophic climate event, this region wasn't a desert. It was lush, green and connected to the Atlantic Ocean through a massive river system that has since dried up. Ancient shoreline markers detected by satellite imaging show that the area was once submerged or bordered by a vast inland sea. The AI found evidence of massive flooding events that match Plato's timeline almost perfectly. Let me break this down. Plato said Atlantis was destroyed 9,000 years before his time. That places the destruction around 9600 BC. The younger Dryas impact hypothesis suggests that a comet or asteroid struck Earth around 10,800 BC, triggering massive tsunamis, earthquakes, and climate chaos. The AI analyzed ice core data from Greenland and found a spike in iridium and platinum, elements commonly found in extraterrestrial impacts. The timing matches, the destruction matches, even the geological violence matches. The AI essentially proved that the legend wasn't just inspired by a real place. It was a historical record written by survivors. But here's the kicker. The AI didn't stop at geology. It analyzed ancient texts from the cultures that never should have known about each other. Egyptian records, Sumerian tablets, Mayan codices, and even ancient Hindu Vedas all describe a great civilization that was destroyed by water and fire. The descriptions are too similar to be coincidental. The AI used natural language processing to compare these texts and found a 78% linguistic overlap in the way they describe the cataclysm. This suggests a shared memory, a global event witnessed by multiple ancient cultures. The machine didn't just find Atlantis, it found the missing link in human history that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge: the map hidden in plain sight. So here's the deal. To really grasp why this AI discovery is shaking the academic world, we have to look at the evidence that came before it. Atlantis has always been full of clues that just don't add up. Let's go back to 1882. A former U.S. congressman named Ignatius Donnelly publishes a book called Atlantis, The Antediluvian World. It becomes a bestseller. He proposes something radical. Atlantis wasn't just real, it was the mother civilization that seeded all ancient cultures. He points out that pyramids exist on both sides of the Atlantic, in Egypt and in Central America. He notes that ancient flood myths appear in over 500 different cultures worldwide. He argues that this can't be a coincidence. Critics dismissed him as a crank, but the AI just proved he was onto something. Fast forward to the 1960s. A geologist named Robert Schoch studies the Sphinx in Egypt. He finds evidence of water erosion on the Sphinx that could only have been caused by prolonged rainfall. The problem? Egypt hasn't had that kind of rain for over 9,000 years. That means the Sphinx is much older than Egyptologists claim. The AI cross-referenced erosion patterns on the Sphinx with erosion patterns on the Reshat structure. The match was stunning. Both sites show evidence of catastrophic water damage from the same time period, but that was just the warm-up. Fast forward to the 2010s. Satellite technology has advanced to the point where we can map ocean floors and desert landscapes with millimeter precision. Researchers start using LiDAR, a laser-based imaging system, to scan the Reshat structure. The results were bizarre. LiDAR detected subsurface structures that don't show up on normal ground surveys: straight lines, right angles, rectangular foundations buried under centuries of sand. These are not natural. Natural formations are chaotic. These structures follow an urban grid pattern. The AI didn't just confirm the LiDAR results, it enhanced them. The neural network stripped away the noise of wind erosion and modern development. What was left was a city layout that is architecturally flawless. The crazy part is the infrastructure. The AI found evidence of a canal system that once connected the Richat structure to the Atlantic Ocean, exactly as Plato described. These aren't dry riverbeds. These are engineered channels with uniform depth and width, designed to allow large ships to travel inland. To put that in perspective, the Panama Canal wasn't completed until 1914. We're looking at a canal system that predates recorded history by thousands of years. If this is natural, then nature learned civil engineering. The AI analysis suggests that whoever built this had knowledge of hydrology, architecture, and large-scale urban planning that rivals modern cities. Furthermore, the AI found something regarding the metals. Plato mentioned a mysterious metal called orichalcum, which he described as second only to gold in value. For years, scholars thought this was made up. But in 2015, a shipwreck off the coast of Sicily was discovered containing ingots of a copper-zinc lead alloy that glows with a golden hue. Scientists tested it. The composition matches ancient descriptions of orichalcum. The AI traced the metal's origin using isotope analysis. The copper signature matches deposits found in West Africa near Mauritania. Coincidence? The machine says no. The AI also analyzed the geology of the Richat structure itself. The rings are made of alternating layers of sandstone and volcanic rock. Plato said Atlantis had rings of red, black, and white stone. The Richat structure has red sandstone, black volcanic rock, and white limestone. The color match is exact, but more importantly, the AI detected that the rock layers were heat-treated. This means they were exposed to extreme temperatures that altered their crystalline structure. This isn't weathering. This is evidence of a high-energy event, possibly the same event that destroyed the city. The AI has effectively taken the myth and turned it into a blueprint. We're looking at a location that matches every single detail Plato provided. The size, the shape, the materials, the geographic description, even the timeline of destruction. The odds of this being a coincidence are astronomically low. The machine calculated a probability of 0.0003% that the Richat structure is a natural formation that just happens to match Atlantis by chance. But the academic world isn't celebrating. They're in denial. Because if the AI is right, then everything we've been taught about the rise of civilization is wrong. The timeline was about to break because history was hiding a secret chapter that rewrites humanity's origin story. Why the textbooks were wrong. Everyone thought the story ended with the Bronze Age. That was the era when human civilization supposedly began. Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley. These were the first complex societies, or so we were told. The narrative was clean. Humans were hunter-gatherers. Then we invented agriculture. Then we built cities. Linear progression. Simple. But almost immediately, things started to get messy, and that's putting it lightly. The evidence was always there. We just ignored it. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Discovered in the 1990s, it's a massive stone temple complex that dates back to 9600 BC, over 11,000 years ago. That's 6,000 years before Stonehenge, 7,000 years before the pyramids. The site contains intricately carved pillars weighing up to 20 tons, depicting animals and symbols that suggest an advanced understanding of astronomy. But here's the problem. According to our timeline, the people who built this were supposed to be primitive hunter-gatherers. They weren't supposed to have the organization, the tools, or the knowledge to create something like this. Yet they did. The AI analyzed the carvings at Göbekli Tepe and found something shocking. The symbolic language matches symbols found in ancient Sumerian, Egyptian, and even Mayan texts. this implies a shared knowledge base, a common source. The machine traced the linguistic roots and pointed back to a single origin point, a civilization that existed before the known ancient civilizations, a teacher culture. The AI calls it Culture Zero. Another example, the Antikythera mechanism. Found in a Roman shipwreck off the coast of Greece, this is a mechanical computer made of bronze gears that dates back to around 100 BC. It could predict eclipses, track planetary movements, and calculate the timing of the Olympic Games. It's so advanced that nothing comparable appears again in human history until the 14th century. That's a 1,400-year technology gap. How did ancient Greeks have this level of mechanical engineering, then lose it completely? The AI suggests they didn't invent it. They inherited it from an earlier civilization that was lost. But the biggest smoking gun is the flood myths. The AI performed a meta-analysis of over 500 different flood stories from the cultures around the world. The Epic of Gilgamesh from Mesopotamia, the story of Noah from the Bible, the Hindu story of Manu, the Greek story of Deucalion, the Mayan Popol Vuh, the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories of Australia, the Native American legends of the Pacific Northwest. They all describe the same event, a global catastrophe involving water, the destruction of an advanced civilization, and a handful of survivors who restart humanity. The AI used statistical modeling to determine if these stories could have originated independently. The result was a resounding no. The probability of 500-plus cultures independently inventing the exact same story with the same narrative beats is less than 0.0001%. The machine concluded that these are not myths. They are fragmented historical records of a real event. So, here's the controversial part. The AI suggests that Atlantis wasn't just one city. It was a global maritime empire. Plato himself said Atlantis controlled lands beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which means beyond the Strait of Gibraltar across the Atlantic. The AI found evidence of advanced port cities in the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, and even the Indian Ocean, all dating to the same pre-flood period. These weren't isolated societies. They were connected by trade routes that spanned the globe. Take the Bimini Road in the Bahamas. Discovered in 1968, it's an underwater rock formation that some researchers believe is a man-made harbor or road. Geologists say it's natural. But the AI analyzed the stone blocks and found tool marks, uniform sizing, and geometric alignment that defy natural explanation. Carbon dating of the surrounding sediment places it at over 10,000 years old. Or consider the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan. A massive underwater structure with flat surfaces, right angles, and staircase-like terraces. Discovered in 1987, it's been debated ever since. The AI used 3D modeling to reconstruct the site. The result looks like a submerged city, complete with roads, plazas, and what appears to be a ziggurat. The depth and erosion suggest it was above water during the last ice age, over 12,000 years ago. The AI connected the dots. Richat structure in Africa, Bimini Road in the Caribbean, Yonaguni in Japan, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. These aren't random anomalies. They're the remnants of a pre-flood civilization that was destroyed and forgotten. The survivors scattered across the globe and became the founders of the ancient cultures we know today. This is why the Egyptians, Sumerians, and Mayans all emerged seemingly out of nowhere with advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. They didn't invent it. They remembered it. The AI bypassed the academic gatekeepers and went straight to the data. and the data is screaming that human history is at least 10,000 years older than we've been taught. But mainstream archaeology refuses to listen. Why? Because admitting this would mean rewriting every textbook, reevaluating every timeline, and acknowledging that our ancestors were far more advanced than we ever gave them credit for. The machine didn't just find a lost city, it found the missing chapter of human history that changes everything. When civilization turned into light. We've ruled out coincidence, we've ruled out myth, so what's left? How does an advanced civilization vanish so completely that it becomes a legend? This is where the science gets really out there. We're entering the territory of catastrophic theories. But remember, these theories are based on the hard data the AI just spit out. The leading scientific explanation right now is the Younger Dryas impact event. Around 10,800 BC, Earth was struck by fragments of a disintegrating comet. The impacts triggered massive wildfires, megatsunamis, and a sudden return to Ice Age conditions that lasted for over 1,000 years. Researchers have found a layer of carbon-rich sediment called the black mat across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. This layer contains nanodiamonds, microscopic particles that only form under extreme pressure and heat, like a cosmic impact. The AI analyzed the distribution of this black mat layer and found something chilling. The densest concentrations align perfectly with the locations of suspected Atlantean sites. The reshot structure sits in a zone that shows evidence of massive flooding and heat damage from this exact time period. The machine calculated the force required to flood a city of Atlantis' size. The answer? A tsunami over 1,000 feet tall, traveling at 500 miles per hour. That's not just a wave. That's a wall of water that would obliterate everything in its path. But it gets crazier. The AI detected faint but repeating geological signatures in the rock layers surrounding the Richa structure. These are called shocked quartz, a type of quartz crystal that forms only under the intense pressure of a meteor impact or a nuclear explosion. If this city was hit by a cosmic airburst, the shock wave alone would have leveled every building, vaporized the water in the canals, and turned sand into glass. The AI found traces of vitrified rock, which is exactly what you'd expect. Some researchers have proposed the plasma discharge theory. They suggest that the Earth's magnetic field weakened during this period, allowing solar plasma to strike the surface directly. This would create electrical discharges powerful enough to carve landscapes, melt stone, and ignite global firestorms. The AI found patterns in the rock formations around Atlantis that match Lichtenberg figures, the fractal patterns left by lightning strikes. But these patterns are massive, spanning miles, which suggests a discharge far more powerful than any natural lightning. Another theory gaining traction is the crustal displacement hypothesis. This involves the Earth's crust suddenly shifting due to a massive imbalance in polar ice. The AI analyzed ancient magnetic field data and found evidence that the North Pole may have been located in a different position 12,000 years ago. If the crust shifted even a few degrees, entire continents would experience catastrophic earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and flooding. A coastal city like Atlantis would be wiped off the map in hours. But the most mind-bending theory is the civilizational reset hypothesis. Some researchers believe that advanced civilizations rise and fall in cycles. The AI found geological evidence of at least 3 previous mass extinction events that coincide with sudden jumps in human development. It's as if every time humanity reaches a certain level of technology, something resets the clock. Whether it's cosmic, geological, or something else, the pattern repeats. The AI found absolutely no signs of gradual decline in Atlantis. There's no evidence of economic collapse, disease, or war leading up to the destruction. One moment, the city was thriving. The next, it was gone. This matches Plato's description perfectly. In a single day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis disappeared into the depths of the sea. The body of evidence didn't decay slowly. It vanished in a flash. The AI analysis shows that whatever destroyed Atlantis was sudden, violent, and total. The survivors didn't have time to save their libraries, their technology, or their records. They fled with only their memories. And those memories became the myths we still tell today. So, here's the final controversial question. Do you think the AI found proof of a lost supercivilization? Or are we connecting dots that don't actually form a picture? What if Atlantis is just the beginning, and there are dozens of other lost cities waiting to be discovered beneath the oceans and deserts of Earth? Let me know your theory in the comments, and if you want to keep exploring the unknown, smash that like button and subscribe for more videos like this.